It's 18th place Queen's Park Rangers' final Loftus Road outing of 2024 on Saturday afternoon. So in this preview, I caught up with Ollie Hargreaves of the Butter Pie podcast to find out how our visitors Preston North End have got on this season so far. Stick around until the end for a few words on QPR, and if you enjoy this preview and you're not already subscribed or following on YouTube, Spotify or Apple, make sure to do so to be kept notified of future content. Hi Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Connor. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. Obviously, we're here today to chat about QPR versus Preston North End on Saturday. Preston currently in 16th, just a point above QPR in 18th place, with 4 wins, 11 draws, and 6 losses so far. So, talk me through the season so far.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. You could probably say Preston Draw End following those statistics. Really, started from the beginning. Obviously, we've had three permanent managers at the club. We're Ryan Lowe obviously leaving after one game, following his dismal display into the end of last year. I think it was a matter of if, not I think it was a matter of when, not if, I should say, he was going to get the sack this season. I think any P&E fan, any fan of any club probably would have expected their managers to walk after the first game. Then obviously the assistant Mike Marsh came in, did a game against Swansea. We got absolutely terrorised 3-0. He left on his own accord, and then we stumbled upon Paul Heckingbottom. So not quite the start you'd expect after the first 5 games, but Heckingbottom's come in. He solidified us. He makes us look a lot more defensively sound. I feel like he's trying to implement a more aggressive style to us in terms of going forward, wanting the midfield to try and force the passes rather than just try to keep possession, which what you probably saw under Ryan Lowe. So it's a lot better on the eye. Now, unfortunately, sometimes the results haven't gone particularly our way. I think obviously there's been quite a lot of draws there, but they're probably winning draws. But, we were 2-0 up at home against Norwich. That ended 2-2. We were 3-0 up away at Plymouth. That ended 3-3. So there's been plenty of games, especially even West Brom at home, where there's been draws where you're probably unlucky not to get away with a win. So we've just been teetering along, and fair enough. Recently, we got we got a good draw against Leeds United, and then obviously before that we got a good win. So yeah, I think for QPR's sake, it's probably not the best time that to play Peony because we're starting to pick up a bit of form. But yeah, bit of a roller coaster start, so to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Preston drawing so much this season. It's 5 draws in the last 6. You're 6 unbeaten. You're tied with West Brom for the most draws in the league this season. QPR are only 1 behind actually, which might be a bit of an omen for Saturday. And in fact, there's a few similarities because both teams have scored and conceded the exact same number of goals this season. So, what is it with the draws? Is it that Preston just can't see games out? Is it that they don't have enough for a win?
Yeah, I think one of the main things as well is it's been the same squad for a large amount of years, and you start to question probably the mentality sometimes of the players. Are they just here because it's Preston? Are they here for an easy career? Um, Potentially you could look at that, but I also think we've got quite an aging squad. I think the youngest permanent, first team player is 26, which is, take out the youth players as well. It's quite high for any club really to have the youngest as 26. So it seems that we can't hang on to Leeds as much, probably due to maybe some fitness levels, because I think we concede the majority of our goals in the last 15 minutes, so 75 minutes onwards. And I saw a statistic the other day where we've dropped 6 points from leading positions from after the 75th minute mark. So that's, going on, 3 games that we've just tucked away from 75 minutes onwards. So, if we did have those 6 points, we'd probably, seeing the championship, you'll probably be pushing the playoffs and knowing at that point. So, yeah, It's one of those, and we've got to just see games out more efficiently.
So, what were the expectations from the fans going into this season? Obviously, you mentioned quite a lot, sort of expected that Ryan Lowe would probably go at some point. I imagine very few expected it to be within the first game week. So, what were the expectations going in, and how has that sort of changed now that Lowe has departed?
Um, I think it was probably a bit more of the same under Lowe. There was tiny progression that you could probably see, but the thing is with Lowe, he talked a very big game in the press, and I feel like we just regressed as a team. We lost players like Alan Brown, our club captain. You lose, fantastic players who were on loan as well, and you just slowly start to regress as a club. And if you're not going to be able to bring in a model, because that's what North End fans have been saying, there's not really been a model for quite some time. You're going to regress. You're going to regress. I'd have expected North End, because obviously we finished 10th last season. I think the expectation was probably just to be lower end, mid table, kind of where we are now. But obviously, since Heckingbottom's coming as well, I think for every fan, the main thing is just to be able to stay within the Championship this season. Yeah, it'd be nice to get up the table a bit more, push us away from that relegation zone, which we have been doing. Just to solidify us, I'd be more than happy with a really boring season this season, as long as we're able to see, the recruitment change, be able to see a bit more of a model come in, and see how we can progress in the further years, which I feel like Heckingbottom's come and said in the press that he wants to do. You saw it with his recruitment at Sheffield United. That was a bit of a but yeah, you can see he's wanting to sign players for under the age of 24. Do some player trading where you bring in players younger, sell them for a decent amount of money, and then invest. And that's how we should be. So yeah, I think North End fans would be happy with probably a boring season this season, and then hopefully show progression so we can go again next season.
So, who should QPR fans be worried about on Saturday, and where can Rangers get at Preston North End?
So I think the main thing actually is the midfield. We've been kind of sorting out a box midfield. So I'm going to say four names here, which I know the main ones are not to look out for. But we're kind of playing a box midfield now with Alan McCann, who's been superb in winning the ball back, interceptions. There's been a Stefan Ford-Arson who's come in recently as well. He's a Icelandic international. He came from Denmark in the summer. Ever since Stoke, he came in for Ben Whiteman, who's not really had the best of seasons to start with, the club captain. And Ford-Arson looks a fantastic player playing forward. He's a big, strong lad. We've got Sam Greenwood on loan from Leeds, who obviously couldn't play against Leeds the last game, but he's our top goal scorer, and it feels like he's got that bit of added quality as well, especially in the goal scoring department. I maybe expect him to get double digits this season in all competitions, which for a 10 is pretty good. But the main person I'm going to mention here, and I mention him quite a lot, is the number 10, Mads Frokjar. Superb player, absolutely terrific player. He's been playing a bit more central, which is preferred position under Heckingbottom. For me, when he's on his game, he's one of the best creative midfielders in the Championship. There is no way he should be playing for Preston North End Football Club at all. So yeah, try to limit as much time for Mads Frokjar on the ball as possible. But for the second half of the question, the way that QPR can get onto us is by playing in behind. Notoriously, we've got very slow centre halves. We've got Hughes, we've got Lindsay, and we've got Story. Albeit, Lindsay and Story did well against Leeds. They didn't really play in behind. So, if you've got any quick, pacey strikers, I know you've got Smith, who's a nifty player in behind. If you're able to, be able to pinpoint, our slowest defender, which is probably hard to pick between the three, and get the ball in behind, and I think you'll be onto a good one. So hopefully you don't stretch the game, and hopefully we're able to limit it as much as possible. But I think you'd be silly not to try and flick a few balls over the top and see if you can get them behind.
Makes sense. Well, last season QPR did a rare double over Preston, despite having a tricky season ourselves. So to round off, let's get your score prediction for this weekend.
Yeah, I think you said it's probably going to be an omen for the weekend. I can really only see a draw. I never like predicting North End wins because I'm a terrible gambler and it always goes the other way. So I'm going to predict a 1-1 thrilling draw at Loftus Road. So fingers crossed it's more exciting than that, but I'm going to stick with a 1-1.
Great. Thanks, Ollie. Well, cheers for joining and all the best for the rest of the season.
Cheers, Connor.
Thanks so much to Ollie once again for jumping on for this preview, and do make sure to check out the Butter Pie podcast via the link in the description below. So with Rangers and North End matching each other beat for beat in goals scored and conceded and almost an identical league record, it does feel like we're in for a predictably stodgy affair. With an average possession of 47.3%, which is just under 2% lower than our previous visitors Oxford, this is another team that won't mind QPR having the ball, which as we know from this season so far is actually usually more problematic than a team that wants to dominate it. That means we'll need to be a lot less messy in possession than we have been over the past 2 games, because while I commend the gritty performances that have earned us 7 points in our last 3 games, it does feel like we're going to get caught up if we're that messy again sometime soon. Thankfully then, after a week's break and with 4 matches to come in the next 11 days, it's starting to seem like we will have some extra personnel back in the squad to help us in the fight. Chair has twice featured from the bench over the past 2 games, so he should be due for some more minutes here, and I almost wonder if Marty would be tempted into starting him behind the striker, because that has been a problematic position for us even in this run. Power also returned at the end of Bristol City, so hopefully he should be in for another start here. I personally think we look a lot more balanced when he is in the side, even if I'm not the biggest fan of his defending. Frey was an unused sub on the bench last weekend, so you would like to think that he would be in for some minutes here himself. And QPR social media did tag Jake Clark-Salter and Jack Colback as back soon in training photos earlier this week, which could be huge with the stack of games we have coming up. So I think if we can keep ourselves composed on the ball and if we can attack in behind like Ollie suggested, seems like Paul Smith is going to be a real valuable asset here, then I feel confident that we can keep this good run of results going. I like to think we'll continue to keep things tight. It was still only a goal from a set piece that saw us concede against Bristol City, so I'm going to go for a tight 1-0 home win to sign things off in W12 this year. As usual, do let me know your thoughts and score predictions in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this preview and you're not already subscribing or following on the platform of your choice, please do so, and I'll catch you in the next one for my Preston North End reaction. Come on, you Oz!